personally and progressively thrilled to receive the full endorsement of our Lieutenant Governor, and someone who I both admired and had a chance to work with over not only 7 years, but my 22 years. We also had him as a supervisor, and I had a chance to work with him as well. So it's great to see our Lieutenant Governor come here and endorse the direction that my campaign is going and what I want to do as mayor. And I've got the future, and he's got the future of the state of California. I want to help him do that.
Has this been planned for a while to have this today, or it seemed kind of fishy timing after the
Actually, we only had a chance to talk about it in the last couple of weeks, and I know he's been thinking about it. Obviously, he's been a gem to pursue. I've talked to him. I've let him know. I've actually got counsel from him on my first 6 solid months of being mayor, and kind of saying, hey, did this really happen on your watch, and how do things go, and who I should contact with, particularly on some dicey issues like getting our pension reform out, and how to manage the relationships with both labor and management together. And then, of course, the budget. I looked to him a lot because he successfully balanced even a bigger budget gap a couple of years ago when it was at $575 million. And I thought I was in every conversation, but then there were new ones that had to happen. And so I got his guidance as well, and so I've been very thankful for that.
Mr. Lee, what are your thoughts on the most recent accusations against your campaign and your race for mayor?
Well, I think the accusations have been about these independent expenditures. My campaign has been 100% compliant, and we've been reviewed by our Ethics Commission and our PPC, the Political Practices Commission, so my campaign is clean. I've been demanding 100% compliance, and we've been exceeding those compliance issues. So I'm very confident that our own, the Ed Lee for Mayor campaign, is 100% compliant with everything that we're doing. We've even returned our own checks when we thought there was any question about anybody's contribution, as well as making sure that people vote and that they try to understand the best they can what we're doing with this ranked choice voting, and they follow my lead. I voted a couple of weeks ago already, and we've been very enthusiastic about our campaign. Now, having said that, there's been questions and videotapes about what's been happening in a certain part, and I agree with the other candidates. I'm going to come right out. You know, if there's any fishy business about the way people are handling other people's ballot, first of all, they shouldn't handle other people's ballots. It should be the individual who is voting has that chance to vote for him or her as to who their choice is. That is a sacred, sacred right to do. They should never be intimidated to vote for anybody. It should be something that's cleanly done by that individual themselves. And if there's anyone out there who thinks that they are representing me or any other candidate, you know, I want them to cease and desist. And I am endorsing the effort to have this reviewed by our local district attorney as well as the Attorney General. I will support the monitoring of any activities that might be questionable, because I think that voting is a sacred thing, and it ought to be done cleanly, ought to be done with every effort to make sure that individuals vote their conscience, have their right to vote, and that be sacredly done by everyone in the city.
Earlier
So no affiliation with these guys, Mayor Lee? No affiliation with these
No.
the guys on stock?
No, I know that some of the video indicates that they're wearing these Ed Lee for Mayor T-shirts. That has nothing to do with my campaign at all. And I want to make sure you understand that these what they call these independent expenditures, we have no knowledge of what they're doing or who's leading them. We have no connection or communications with them. We're not supposed to by law, and so we have not. But having said that, if there's any questionable activities they're doing, there's every right, and I'm going to endorse the fact that they ought to be reviewed. They ought to be under the scrutiny of the district attorney or any ethics commission. And if the Attorney General so wishes, I want them to be monitored, because they should be compliant with the law as we've demanded. Everybody who works for my campaign or volunteers in any effort, they have to comply. And if it was my campaign doing that, I would fire them immediately, because they should not be handling ballots for anybody else.
Earlier today, Senator Yee mentioned how, as an Asian American, many Asian Americans have been slow to participate in the political process, and that personally he was offended that this would even happen under your watch. How do you feel personally about all of this?
Well, again, I have not encouraged anybody to do anything less than full compliance with the law. And I know there's a lot of people out there that might be confused with ranked choice and so forth, and they may be seeking help. And there's ways to get help. But having said that, I join in the other candidates' call that this be monitored. that there be investigations, and that it has nothing to do with my campaign, and I know the other candidates know that. I've repeated that often.
You
So-
joked, though, that this could be a setup. Didn't you joke that this morning
Well-
on the show? I mean, do you think this is a setup? Let's get it.
That was a
Well,
joke.
that was definitely...
White horse, and now it's
Yeah,
Lee's the bad guy.
Yeah, well, obviously, I was joking because I wanted to make sure that people know that I still am keeping my sense of humor, and even in this heat of battle. The next 2 weeks, I've been forewarned by many of you and those in the campaign that it's going to be heat and hotted. And I've got to keep my cool, and I don't want to do that because I know I'm doing right. I know my campaign is working with every single neighborhood in San Francisco. We're enthusiastic. We don't want to dampen our own enthusiasm. It's hard enough in a ranked choice setting to ask people to be the first choice, and then if I'm not, to be able to confidently say, well, can I be your second and third choice? And I want to happen that. I want to do it in different languages and different cultures. We're excited about people choosing their mayor, and I just want to make sure that that continues to be a clean hit from everybody, that our campaign is enthusiastic, and that I am out there every single day and on the weekends asking for voters directly myself to consider me to be their number 1, 2, or 3 vote.
Mayor, why didn't you immediately call for an investigation? Why wait for your competitors to do it?
Well, I hadn't even had a chance to review what had occurred. I waited for a day or so for myself to even be acquainted with what has happened, because I don't know what's happening outside of my own campaign. I haven't been.
This is also happening inside your own campaign. There was a report that surfaced, I think it was either last night or this morning, that ballots were seen at a campaign event that was held by your official.
Oh, well, I
pursued an investigation.
That was
of course,
that was the
but-
Falun Gong newspaper, and there's no evidence of that.
Yeah, I
And we
mean,
don't have that at our campaign.
again, I say my campaign is 100% compliant. I demand that they be compliant, and everybody that I'm associated with directly through the Mayor Ed Lee campaign is compliant. So if there's allegations, we will clearly open up, as we've done with our fundraising efforts, to work with the district attorney's office and open all of our records to make sure we have nothing to hide, and we're continuing very enthusiastic to run our campaign.
Have you
All right,
reached
folks.
out to this one group that set up this stuff on Stockton where the videos were recorded, and reached out to the group and said, stop doing this if you're doing
Well,
something?
yeah, I mean, I've made a very clear demand through the Chinese media as well as the English media to make sure this group, whoever they are, stop what they're doing. That in any way, if they're handling people's ballots, they ought to stop doing that.
They wrote your book
So-
too, Ed.
I'm sorry?
The same people wrote your book.
Well, again, I have nothing to do with the book. I've kept away from. I received my copy in the mail, and I put it in the bag just to see if I'll read it, along with a whole stack of a lot of things that people haven't given me, but they've been collected over the period of time, the short period of time, and I'll probably enjoy reading a lot of that to see what happens and what had occurred over November 9th.
But how can you say there's no coordination when the book contained personal details about your life,
Well, I've been 22 years in government and another 13 very public in my civil rights attorney role, and so my information about my whole life is out there on the web, and pictures of family, because everybody has asked me those questions over many, many years, especially as I served 4 different mayors and been in critical decision-making apparatuses with them. My life's been very public.
All right, folks. Thanks.
Thank you.
Let's go, Mayor.
And you
didn't-
pointed that these people who are your friends are now, these other candidates are kind of trashing you. They
Oh,
got beat you, so they're kind of trashing you. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm very disappointed. Anybody who is under the rubric of trying to support me, if they do something illegal or bad, of course I've been very disappointed. And so that's why I have to just reassert that my campaign is going to be 100% compliant, everybody around me. And I denounce those groups that think or say that they're for me. If they're doing wrong stuff, they should be investigated, and they should be appropriately accountable for what their actions are.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.